Good morning to you all from Monday morning. Nowhere else, just from the planet. Planet that we all share and must care. The pandemic for 2 years gave us a grand opportunity to re-see, rethink, renew, and relive the ways that which we have been living. The old ways of living are no longer relevant. The old ways of teaching no longer relevant. The old political ideas are no longer relevant. The technology has advanced the human comforts and conveniences. Science, technology, and information is flowing to your palm, to the front living room, to your kitchen, to the toilet. It's just flowing all of the time. But have you got enough capacity to hold and absorb and digest all of this? Simply not. So what happens to you? Stress, anxiety, mental health, and all the other complications where a human being do not know how to be conscious, may face with challenging, even more challenging, if you are unable to just let go of information and data that is being downloaded on your head, and free yourself from data and information and become a human being who vibrate, who has a sense of life, a mortal life, a brief life, and show attention to that very brief experience that you have here as a human being. The future will only determine by the way in which you and I start living today, by making changes that is relevant for our future generations, for our children, particularly if you have any, because your actions today may find a lasting and, more importantly, important change that is needed in human actions and human ways of thinking, the ways of being living. The human nature should be to embrace life instead of embracing the aberrant and most dividing and divisive ways that humans have been living for centuries. The history should remind you this very pandemic that is still prevalent amongst all of us across the world should further make you feel the sense of life that has gripped every one of us. It's not something isolated to one country, another country, or one part of the continent of another part of the continent, but it's touched and gripped with no age limit, no race limit, no boundaries, and no political structure. It has struck to remind us the fragility of life. And on top of that, are you going to enhance the solution? Or are you willing, enthusiastic to find solutions to embrace life for all humanity and be part of upgrading the standard of living and our well-being so that we all can thrive, enjoy the phenomena of this planet, the natural phenomena that's supporting us on this planet. Isn't it time that you wake up and realize this, rather than having to learn something from the past? And with your limited knowledge, it's time that you delete the information you have and become life. Not be identified by anything, but be identified just with life and pledge allegiance to the planet and every life that exists here, coexist, that is making our lives work, live, renew, rejuvenate. All of this cycle of life happens only because we are constantly in transaction with everything that is around us. Why are we trying to fight against the other when everything is part of one? Be one with all. And not be identified with your limited knowledge and your limited identity as to who you are as life. The failure in human history has always been the identity coming in conflict with somebody else's identity, or somebody else's good coming in conflict with someone else's good. There is no good or bad. There's human life, there's other life, and all of that is organized in a super intelligent way by the creation intended. All you have to do is simply live. Fighting with the creation and the creator is a losing game for human species on the planet. It's time you wake up to realize this today, that the tomorrow may be a reality for you once you have realized and sunk that information into you so that you are sensitive enough to know the fragility. And that should wake you to a more sensible, more responsible, more inclusive, and reasonable actions and a thought process going forward.